I'm not the only dev behind it that's cooking, but we're here and we're going to make plays even in a bearish market. And the reason for that is because we're here to provide you a conservative yield where day in and day out, you're always up.
What's your favorite game overall?
Oh, man, that is a loaded question.
Is it
what
Web3 or Web2?
Web 2 or Web 3? Yeah.
Either.
Oh, man.
It's like
okay.
Ultimately.
So, it's tough, okay? Because my favorite game kind of currently doesn't exist anymore for lots of reasons because it was a super toxic game. And I don't know if you're going to know this. A lot of people will. It was called Arc Age. And in Arc Age, essentially, I was able to tokenize my digital assets in that game and sell them via like player auctions for fiat.
Welcome back to the Blockster podcast. Today we have Nev and Springroll with us, and we'll be talking about Bitcoin and L2s. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys.
Thanks for the invitation. Pleasure to meet. Looking forward.
It's a pleasure, you legend. We are super stoked to be here, super stoked to be listening and contributing to this podcast. No complaints whatsoever on my end. Let's get going.
Thanks, Nev. Love the energy. Tell me a bit about your story, guys. Both of you are not doxed. So tell me why. What was the rationale behind it?
Nev, you want to kick this one off, or shall I start?
I mean, I'll take that. So, being in the space for 4+ years, we've come to realize that specifically where we live, the regions where we live, privacy is important. And we're just trying to build, right? We're trying to build platforms, build, projects on chain, while contributing to the foundation, what CoreDAO is, what they're trying to provide, what they're doing from a BTC fi element. And to be honest, I'm a troll. So if I can troll and have fun behind, a PFP that nobody knows who I am, I'm going to enjoy every single minute of that. And that's the way I look at it.
And what's your rebuttal against people that might argue that if you want to reach mainstream, we should probably get doxed, we should get out there, and that will add extra legitimacy to the industry?
Do you know the amount of people who have rugged, who were actually doxed? The amount of people that have showcased their identity and still ended up hurting their clientele? I think the most iconic one would be Kevin Rose from Moonbirds. That was a really nice dox there. Hawk2 as well. Yeah, man. We doxing, and then it became...
celebrities have doxed themselves, released a meme coin or a shit token, and just pulled the rug from their community to I'm not saying that that's what we do or that's what we represent or that's what we like. I'm just saying that nah, fam, that's just not for me. End of the day. And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's I won't trust that you're legitimate if you are doxed. If you sit behind a PFP in the Web3 space, I trust you more, legitimately, because that's how the Web3 space works. That's how DeFi works, right? Being undoxed is such a rare thing nowadays that when you're still undoxed, it's all right, this man's cooking. We get it. We understand him.
Nev, there is one thing that I think is very important to mention, and I think that within crypto, people don't give enough justice to that, and that's actions speak louder than words.
Yeah. 100%.
And a lot of people, they do a lot of words, they do a lot of, look at me, I am doxed, I'm here, I'm in front of you, you can ask questions, but then when you come to the hard-hitting questions, all of a sudden they are unable to answer. And I have met quite a few individuals who were undoxed, who were way smarter than any of the individuals that actually were showcasing themselves, so to speak. Using it as marketing tool or using it as gunpowder, so to speak, is only short time. It's very short-lived, unless, like Nev said in the beginning, unless you come in on a position and you were undoxed before, then it becomes an amplification effect. So take, for example, Snoop Dogg, his account of Cosimo di Medici. He played it perfectly to a T. Undoxed account, grew the account out, and then the moment that account was super popular, he doxed, and it quadrupled his fame within the Web3 space because he had showcased without using my brand and without using my name and my image, I can still do shit. And that was the beauty of being doxed as well. The beauty of doxing was that without having to use your name and your clout, you could make things pop. And then the moment your name would come out, it would work like the amplifier. And now people think that doxing is meant, I dox, you have trust. No, that element is a very big misunderstanding, I believe.
And do you find it more challenging to represent the organization that you work for? Because whenever you attend an event, then you can't really connect with people, you can't really take a selfie, you have to be extra careful there. Or do you find it that people actually appreciate that because they appreciate that you value your privacy and it's an integral part of our industry?
So I've been to a lot of events, and Spring has as well. Just, you know, we're not like people who just sit behind our desk all day. We
All
do
day.
go and represent CoreDAO. Shut up, Spring, guys. You know, for example, I was at Art Basel. Like, I'm going to be a permissionless. I'm going to be at NFT NYC. And a lot of the times what I do is I specifically have my Cortoshi, which is my flagship PFP, on my shirt or on my sweater. And, you know, they can identify who I am based off my PFP. Like, oh, shit, hey, that's Nev. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, disregard the fact that somebody takes a selfie. I take a selfie. It stays in Telegram. That's all it's going to be. You don't know what my name is. You don't know who I am, what my age, where I come from. All you have is a picture. I'm cool with that. Like, at the end of the day, it's just like, yo, this is Nev from CoreDAO. I'm not saying I haven't turned the camera on or whatever the case is. Sometimes I'm feeling spicy. Maybe I want to show off, and I've done that, right? And Spring knows this, and he's done similar too. You know, realistically, you can keep denying it all you want, man. We all know how you look, dude. You're a handsome-looking man. You should be like,
Stop it.
all day. You should
I'm
be on camera.
undoxed. I'm a Springroll,
Okay.
bro. I am
He's-
all crunch.
Yeah, he's all crunch. And then, you know, when it comes to dynamic duo, like Spring and I look at ourselves as this. He compliments me and I compliment him for two different aspects. The man is a master manipulator when it comes to words. He can dance around you when it comes to like how he represents himself, represents a foundation. And then I'm just that silent dev that's in the closet kind of cooking away.
So he
And
says.
you know, that's kind of how it's been representative and how we've been doing our things. Yeah, like, okay, sure, I can like bring it a certain joie de vivre or like je ne sais quoi to like an event and bring that energy. But realistically, dude, I'm that biggest introverted. I just don't want that anymore.
It's what he says. It's what he says. But to come down, come back on the point of these private events or these events itself, it does create a certain amount of trust.
Yep.
So I get to choose who I get to meet because no one knows how I look. So if I want to meet you, it means there's a certain amount of trust that I have towards you to be willing to do so. So do not break that trust. It invokes a much smoother way of working together as well after we have met. And I've noticed as well that, especially because we are undoxed, when we meet fellow creators who are undoxed as well, it actually creates an even stronger trust because now you know how the other person looks all of a sudden. It's like, oh, okay, we know, but the rest doesn't know. Let's keep it that way as well. Events, IRL events as well. It is really for us a point where we get to meet up with different parties that we've already talked to often within Discord, Telegram, Google Meets, whatever. And there is a group of individuals that we meet at the conference who we think then of like, okay, cool, we could potentially do something. But that is all dependent as well on how comfortable we are doxing ourselves and to what extent.
And can you tell me a bit more about your transition from the broader crypto industry to CoreDAO? Because CoreDAO specializes in obviously expanding Bitcoin. But I would love to learn a bit more about your journeys into crypto and then transition to Core.
Okay. Do you love BTC, if I may ask?
I was a maxi. I still have the laser eyes.
Was.
So, yeah.
You said was. Hold on.
This man is going in. Oh, shit.
Yeah, man. My story is that I was trading tech stocks, and then I started investing into Bitcoin because I realized that making money is not enough. It's about preserving the value of your money, and that's how I got into Bitcoin. I was like, oh my days, that's revolutionary. And then I started reading about smart contracts, but I also got involved in the meme coin boom, and I was trading and I was heavily involved into that as well. So not Maxi anymore. I love smart contracts. I like Solana as well. So I like projects. It's very hard to build on top of Bitcoin. I know the L2s are now enabling it. I still struggle to justify it sometimes. I guess there's like a deep liquidity, but that's something else that we'll talk about.
I don't think it's just the liquidity aspect. It's also the scalability aspect that needs to be taken into account.
100%.
Bitcoin as a Lightning network is relatively slow. And sadly enough, when we look at how chains work, you use the native currency to trade. Now imagine as Bitcoin grows in value, how much the transaction fees are going to cost and how slow it's going to be as more and more volume comes onto it. At that point, it really does become like a storage of value. So similarly to how it was with gold. Now, 1960s, if I remember correctly, Nev, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, gold was pegged to the dollar. And a similar principle is being used within Core, where Core is using
1971.
BTC in that element. Hey, exactly.
1971, it followed economic scale with the gold, correct? Yeah.
So a similar thing can be seen with Core, where we're using BTC as like the foundation, and then we have pegged Core with it so that, for example, on our website as well, you're able to put your BTC there non-custodially, so you do not have to remove it from your wallet, unlike other L2s. So with all these other L2s and all these other protocols, you have to stake your BTC or you have to actually remove it from the wallet. Not the case here. You delegate it. Once it's delegated, you can
Bro,
peg a
why are
certain
you
amount of.
butchering this? Oh my god, this is why you're not a dev. Can you
Oh,
just
okay, fine. You want to take over on this?
butchering
Okay.
the
You
whole
see
element
what I have to handle. You see what I have to
Oh.
deal with every single day, every
So,
single day. Mr. Dev, okay, I'll shut up.
what Springroll is trying to enlighten us here with, okay, he's trying to explain this to individuals like they're 5, but not doing it like, so to speak, correctly. The difference between CoreDAO and any other L2 or L1, whatever they want to consider themselves, from a staking element, is they're providing a service or a yield through custodial staking, which means the asset does not remain in your wallet. You're not signing a transaction or some hash protocol. They own that asset the moment you stake that asset. So in the Web3 space, what's the number one thing everybody stays away from? Shit, you have my asset in your wallet. You have the potentially to what? Rug, grift, run away with that asset. So what CoreDAO's built is a non-custodial staking mechanism. Essentially, all you're doing is signing a transaction to allow us to run our transactions through the security and governance layer. So essentially reliance, right? Allowing us to run that transaction or our transaction through that security hash, but the asset remains in your wallet. There's no time lock. There's nothing that's preventing you from taking that away. All we're doing is, hey, sign this transaction. You're allowing us to run it. Perfect. Asset remains in your wallet. You can stake it and earn your yield. That's what CoreDAO has created here and curated. What Springwell was trying to say is do that in a way that made him sound very elegant and proper, which is like, let's be real here, dude. We're talking to
He
a
wants
VW.
me. He's saying I'm long-winded. That's what he's saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys are jokes. I love chatting to you. You're very funny, both of you. Nev, I am very skeptical on how you guys are able to achieve this. So can you tell me a bit more about the technical components that enables you to do it? Because I've always been very skeptical when people want me to move around my BTC or even to enable them to secure their security on their chain. So can you just tell me a bit more about it? But also, I guess the reason that you're giving yield to people that are willing to do it is because you want to enhance the security on your chain.
Correct. So you pretty much hit it on the nail head. The allowance of us using your BTC hash to get that security, governance, and reliance is allowing security on our chain to be X-fold. It's 10X, it's 100X,
Yeah.
which is essentially providing that safe space for people to come and stake their coin because they know that we're utilizing the BTC hash. Now, what CoreDAO's created is like their Satoshi Plus consensus. The mechanism behind, the tech behind, essentially is like the major technical implementation that allows the ecosystem to kind of build out. And we're utilizing those validators. I don't know if you've seen, if you go to stake on stake.coredao.org, we've got validators where now our margin's been set to 500K. It's no longer 10K because from an institutional grade, we're now trying to serve institutions, not just the retail user, right? So we're trying to prove to the institution that, hey, our security's built, it's trusted because it is. We have the volume to show that. You can now come here and do the exact same thing at an institutional level, right? So realistically, from a clarification standpoint, the mechanism that CoreDAO has created using the Satoshi Plus consensus is the real tech that you're wanting to know. So is there anything clear? Like, did you want me to clarify that tech? Like, what is it you're trying to figure out?
Yeah, I know the Satoshi consensus mechanism is a mixture of proof of stake and proof of work. So can you just tell me a bit more about it? But also I'm trying to understand, like, I'm very skeptical that it's non-custodial, but you can still enhance your security through my Bitcoin. I don't fully understand the technique. How are you managing to achieve that?
So I would love to explain that to you, but even that granular level, like I'm not the engineer here. I run the community, I run the lead. So to go into that like level at a granular or go into that from a granular level is really hard because it really just blends both of those mechanisms. Like you said, you got POW and POS, right? You know, how it differs from traditional consensus models, right? Because what we're looking at is enhancing the security and the decentralization of the asset is kind of like how I'm going to follow up and kind of explain that in a way that's like fully understandable from a 5-year-old perspective. Like it's very difficult to kind of like put a real big finger on it. But if I have to break it down at a 5-year-old, think of referees. Do you like football, soccer? I don't know how you consider it. I know that Americans call it soccer. I'm Portuguese, so I can consider it footy, right? Football. You know, you have referees and you have players. On the pitch, your proof of work are the referees. Your proof of stake are the players, right? The referees are there to ensure that security is happening, that it's governed, that it's, you know, followed by the rules, everybody's doing what they're doing, and the players are just there to adhere to that. And when you're going and staking your assets, that's what you're doing. With proof of work, the BTC element of it, we're providing that as a mechanism to allow you and like giving you the asset because we don't want that asset. We just want you to sign the BTC hash to us, right? And that's why the asset remains in your wallet. We're just looking for the security hash element of BTC. So when you own a BTC, you know how the tech is in the Lightning Network, right? The reason why BTC is so like valuable, right? Everybody knows how to consider BTC at a level, what their value is of it. I consider it big because I am a BTC maxi. I just want to let you know that. There's a reason why I'm at CoreDAO because, you know, in my space, I've been here for 4 years. I'm on ETH. Technically, I'm omni-chain, but a lot of my assets reside within BTC, right? I own ordinals. I own runes. My ledger is stacked with BTC. I'm staking it on Core. I didn't know about Core until I kind of worked there, and then I got into it, looked at the white paper, kind of understand how the OP returns through transactions work, like all of the actual tables and how the code's written from a SA and a smart contract standpoint. So I then fully aped my coin because it's like, hey, it makes sense what you're doing. So realistically, or interestingly enough, the Satoshi Plus, the whole generic text behind it, right, is that when you're compiling any of your actual security hash on chain through that transaction that you've signed, all we're doing is running any of our transactions, i.e. I were to buy or swap Core for USDC or swap USDC for Core, my transaction will go through that BTC hash that you've staked on a validator, right? And you can take that back at any point. I'm going to be fully transparent. The only time lock on this is obviously the lock that the transaction's happening on Lightning, right? On the Lightning Network. When the transaction's going through the Lightning Network blocks, it could be up to 76 hours, right? It really depends on the Lightning Network and how fast it is and how it's in operation at that point. But that's the actual lock. And that's not because of Core. That's because of the Lightning Network, of you delegating your hash, right? Once that hash has been delegated, you can freely take that at any point you want, right? We're providing you a yield in Core for staking that hash on your own measure, how you decide it, how you want to. We're not going to lock you into anything. There's no commitment. And we've provided that through that mechanism, through POW, through DPoS, and the non-custodial, straight up first non-custodial Bitcoin staking element that we've compiled.
Thanks for that. It was a very detailed explanation, and I really liked it. Springroll, I have a question for you. I know that only 0.13% of the entire Bitcoin market cap is currently in BitFi. So how are you guys hoping to increase that number? And I guess some people that have been in the industry for a while are very skeptical, because people that consider themselves like a Bitcoin maxis would look at Bitcoin as a store of value, especially after the civil wars in Bitcoin. And we didn't want it to be we didn't want to use it as money. I just forgot the exact term of it, but
Fiat.
we just want to just store our value in Bitcoin. So how would you kind of incentivize people and just prove that it's okay to do it?
Well, here's the thing with a chain. The chain is only as powerful as the amount of users that it has, or that people are using the token as well. Hence as well why, for example, using BTC and staking with Core, you will be able to earn yield. Using this yield, that yield can be used, for example, in certain dApps. Now, this is the beauty as well with Core, where we are using BTC to generate this yield. And at the same time, we have all of these dApps, which are on an EVM layer, so we can maintain the scalability of Ethereum with it. As more projects come on board, it also means people are able to use their Core to either generate things or make trades, leverage trade. The other options are, of course, that there's NFTs that are on there, and these NFTs can be integrated into games. We have NFTs that are there for community-centric. We have NFTs that provide alpha, and so on and so on. As that, of course, scales up, the client base can also increase. This is partially based, of course, of our marketing department and our BD department getting in new parties, but as well from the community side of things, that we bring in different communities that actually resonate with the message. And this is something that is a long-term mission, and is also something which can only be done if you look at it from an omni-chain perspective. Yes, you have BTC maxis, who of course say, yes, I want to non-custodially stake my BTC. You also have the other side, as it is EVM. So people, for example, who are from Avalanche, or people who are from Solana, or people who are from Ethereum, who are looking for something new, which is a bit easier of an entry than going into the Bitcoin's ecosystem in full and going into ordinals and going into runes, when the entry there is already quite a bit higher.
And you touched upon the EVM kind of layer. So can you tell me a bit more about how are you guys planning to make it interoperable and ensure that people can like deep into the BitFi ecosystem, but also easily go into other ecosystems like Ethereum, Solana, or the Cosmoverse?
Oh, I like this. Nev is actually building something right now for people to bridge in a lot easier. We do also have Orbiter.finance. You also have our native bridge on the Ignition program. So there's different ways to actually get in on the ecosystem. Beauty is, like some chains, they struggle on the CEX side. We are on most of the CEXs already. So it's much easier, for example, to get Core if you are on Coinbase, or if you are on OKX, or on Bidget, or Bybit. These exchanges already have us, which means onboarding from those areas and those exchanges also becomes a bit easier.
And Nev, can you tell me what projects are looking to build on top of a Bitcoin L2, have we seen any games or anything different than like the financial apps that are building on top of Bitcoin? Because I guess the reason that I imagine people would like to build on Bitcoin is because of the deep liquidity and security. But yeah, I would love to hear your take.
So this is a very loaded question, and one that Spring and I consistently have to deal with day in and day out. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. It just it can be tiresome sometimes to explain it, right? So right now, the CoreDAO is definitely 100%, not 100%, but like we're like 85% heavily focused on DeFi elements. We're providing yields or, from an institutional standpoint. Now, that does not mean that the community of Core, which essentially Spring and I run alongside, others and from a regional and global aspect, are not trying to provide some sort of on-chain activities or get that on-chain volume happening. There are games in the works. There are lots of like DeFi strategies or NFT strategies or even meme coins that have been launched that kind of like do what meme coins do. Now, it's not following the same similar concept as Solana, right? Solana right now, everybody knows it's the PvP network. If you want to go run some PvP plays like we're playing League of Legends, hit Solana, rug your tokens, dip out, make your 0.25 SOL for rugging that token that you decided to go and run away, right? Let's be real, you're never making real assets there, right? And even guys like Spring and I, and we are active DEX traders, like we consider ourselves traders that trade omni-chain. Spring and I will spend 2 hours every night, during specific times, shilling shit tokens to each other and trying to make that 1 or 2 SOL that we lost 10 SOL the day before, right? It is what it is. It's just, it gets our blood pumping and that's what we're here for, right? But I look at ways to mitigate my losses afterwards, and that's kind of what Core does for me, right? It provides me a conservative passive yield day in and day out where I'm every day making and I'm up every day. It's always green. It's never red, right? I'm not having to worry about my market sitting on Core. Now, we do have AAA games that we've looked at. We've play tested, super hella bullish on them. I'm not going to like explain them. I can't really divulge too much into what those are because they're still like really silently cooking, and other elements in DApps that we're building, like a flagship or native marketplace that includes a token launchpad and other things for those degens on chain that want to really have fun, i.e. myself and Spring and a couple of others, because that's what we're looking for. And we're trying to bring that type of utility to chain. And it's a slow play. Like it's a play where, right now in the market that we're sitting in, we're looking more like 2026, 2027 when the next bull run hits, right? We're going to introduce these to the point where it's like, hey guys, guess what we've cooked out? Everybody had eyes on, games like Off the Grid for AVAX, right? Hell, I play that game, right? Spring plays that game. We all play that game because these were like detrimental cooks for other chains like Guns, right? That provided a like AAA game that really worked out, but really it was their KOL system that kind of paid off, right? Picking on those guys like Tim the Tatman and all those other individuals that are high KOLs in the gaming verse that were able to shill the game and bring volume to it. There's really strategic and narrative plays that, like, from a marketing standpoint, that were really just top notch there, like S tier. I'm not talking A tier, B tier. I'm talking S tier plays that how they marketed it did really well, right? And it's all about how you get there and how we're going to get that. And right now we're putting those narratives into place, right? As Core grows, because it's only been in a year on mainnet. I don't know if you're aware of how long Core's been around, right? It's only been a year on mainnet, and the community themselves, like what we've been running, have been making significant strides in the Web3 space to provide on-chain activities through GambleFi, through PredictionFi, through AI agents. And I'm not using AI agents as like the new trend and narrative right now. There are other chains that really provide awesome utility against those. But as Spring mentioned, I'm a dev, so I'm currently creating and curating different multiples and avenues to streamline the retail experience, we'll call it. So somebody who is omni-chain, never knew how to bridge into Core, can just go to one simple curated document, be able to hit an iframe, bridge assets in from ETH or bridge assets in from AVEX, any chain you could think, BNB, it doesn't matter. Swap that for Core within one single transaction, and then to be able to either vault it on B14G, which is one of our superb DeFi apps on chain that provide a bullish APY on anything that's been vaulted, right? And at the same time, we're really waiting for, and this is kind of a little bit of an alpha play, LST BTC, right? Where you'll actually earn the world's first BTC yield for liquid staked BTC. So realistically, we're cooking all these up to kind of provide that simple one-stop shop. You can bridge in, swap, stake, do whatever you want on one page, one simple play instead of having to go to multiple places. And this is also with the curated preferred partners on chain, our DeFi apps that we prefer on that simple stop as well. Now, from a gaming element and from others, I'm a gamer, 21 year, I have a 22-year flex badge on Steam. Like, there's no actual disagreement on that. I will showcase that if I have to. I'm an avid gamer. I'm sitting, like I'm currently streaming, talking to you through a desktop that I've built with a 5090 in it. Like, I am always with the top tech, looking at AI workloads, trying to make any type of passive income I can. Core's cooking. We are. I'm not the only dev behind it that's cooking, but we're here and we're going to make plays even in a bearish market. And the reason for that is because we're here to provide you a conservative yield where day in and day out, you're always up.
What's your favorite game overall?
Oh, man, that is a loaded question.
Is it
what
Web3 or Web2?
Web 2 or Web 3? Yeah.
Either.
Oh, man.
It's like,
okay.
ultimately.
So, it's tough, okay? Because my favorite game kind of currently doesn't exist anymore for lots of reasons, because it was a super toxic game. And I don't know if you're going to know this. A lot of people will. It was called ArcAge. And in ArcAge, essentially, I was able to tokenize my digital assets in that game and sell them via like player auctions for fiat, right? Or for Ethereum, Litecoin. At the time when I was doing all of this, it was ETH and Litecoin. That was how you would sell your assets. Nobody really cares about Litecoin. I don't want to say that in a bad way. Sorry, guys. I know you're trying to cook things over there. I just don't care. It was an easy way to build or sell assets through ETH, but not have to pay the gas on ETH at the time, right? That's what it was. We all know Ethereum's great, but gas is hella expensive. It's better now. I'm kind of shook. Like, I don't know if it's because there's no volume on chain and everybody stepped away from it, but like, it was terrible at one point. And you know, I was selling castles or lords tokens or like items in game that were like legendary status, mythic status for real world dollars or crypto, right? Same thing with Path of Exile. I'm a grinder. I will grind Path of Exile, Diablo, all those games day in and day out, World of Warcraft day in, day out. And I was selling it for real world assets or cryptocurrency all day. So anywhere I can make money, that's my favorite game. But if you want to say like couch game where, you know, I'm going to chill out with my kids or whatever the case is, I'm going to say right now, I've been heavily invested in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I love the whole medieval simulator where I feel like I'm literally a part of it. You can't say that, you know, you're picking up a bag with a dead pig corpse in it and walking it to a back of a wagon because that's what you're supposed to do at that time. Better than that video game from a Web 2 standpoint. But I do play COD. Everybody's super bullish on Verdansk coming back right now, right? Like, you know, it's like COVID times where your squad's coming back and everybody's like, yeah, let's do this. Verdansk is back. I play anything. I'm very agnostic when it comes to games, but competitive is huge. I'm not a couch cozy gamer. I'm always looking at ways where I can make some money. But like, yeah, I'm just a grinder. So I'm here doing what I do best to bring some sort of yeah, I don't know. It's
You're a
hard.
diligent farmer. That's what you are.
I didn't want to call it that. And why did you have
are
to
a
call
diligent, persuasive, very determined farmer, and you decided to do it in the early stages when gaming was still like RuneScape. You just farm it, and then you go to this dodgy black market where you're selling your RuneScape gold at a discount of what it actually is valued, so you can make a real buck from it. Yes, diligent farmer. That's it.
What about you,
That fits
Springroll?
great in this current Web3.
Here, this is, and I'm not
See?
kidding.
A true farmer. He is a true farmer.
I love this.
All right, so like, anybody who's got like,
You're
100
every
level.
game's best dream.
This is just Steam, by the way. Okay, like, just so you know, this is not Epic, where a lot of like Web3 games reside. This is not BattleNet, where a lot of my time's been spent, or even individual solo funded. Like, I could probably, without a doubt, if I were to go and look up, time on this game just through Steam, like,
7,300. Damn.
and that's not through solo platforms before it was launched on Steam. This was after. Like, it just kind of shows you that right there. Anybody who's put that type of time into a video game, they're farming. So that's the point.
Being a diligent farmer is not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. I'm much more on the RPG type of side. So things like Dark Souls really pull me, or Elden Ring. Up till
'Cause
now,
you're just
I
a
have
masochist who likes to fucking do that to themselves.
So
Hey.
hard to play.
fams. I like a challenge. I don't like to go back and forth to my farm and lift my pickaxe to get some more gold. I'd rather slay monsters and see if I can beat something impossible. This is just different type of gaming style.
It's okay. You can just say it. You run a piece of shit computer and you can't run these new games. It's all right.
That too.
We get it.
That too. It's priorities. I prefer to play on the console than I prefer to play on the PC. You're a PC guy. I'm more of a console guy. But yeah, there isn't anything like that yet in crypto. I've seen games like that pop by. That have tried and attempted to. Often it just becomes something chewed out and grinded out and a copied model from anything that you see in Web 2. Hence why I've also been very hesitant to really commit myself to a Web 3 game, as Nev has committed himself, for example, to off the grid. Like, this man plays off the grid every other day. I might play it only every once in a week. But the benefits of doing that has been showcased. So a lot of the players who got the skins, they managed to get all of that out. And I have to say, Web3 gaming in itself, in the upcoming years, I think is only going to grow. The question is more in what direction is it going to grow? Is it going to grow through consoles, or is it going to go through AR? Or VR, and then we go into the next play of what chain comes into play, and does the chain really need to be involved all the way to the end? So yeah, it's a very interesting side of the market.
And I actually haven't asked for your official job titles. I'm not sure whether you guys would like to disclose them, but I would like to know what you're doing for the CoreDAO, and what are the big challenges do you face within your role? Also, do you guys know each other before the job, or did you meet at the company?
No, we knew each other before. As Nev and we met, I think 3 years ago, where he wanted to buy assets at the time, and I looked at him. I'm like, look, fam, you need to buy Neo Tokyo Citizen, which was like 3-4 ETH at the time.
Little did he know at the time I was a BTC max, and the assets that I wanted to buy, I had a ton of it. So I was like, I'm going to bridge some of it BTC over to ETH. And he's like, yeah, you can buy a Neo T. And I did the whole grovel. I was like, oh, it's like 3 ETH for this. Like, are you fucking wild? This is expensive.
I still remember that I told you to suck it up and just do it. And he was so happy afterwards.
He's literally sitting there like, dude, just shut up. Just buy it. Shut up and buy it. Like, literally was his word. And he knows, because he knows I don't want to use the word whale, but he knows that I'm a maxi, and he knows that I have assets on chain. So stop being frugal I'm gonna use and like just put up and shut up. So I'm like, oh, this is 3 ETH, and at the time 3 ETH
Teeth
3
pulling.
years ago was teeth pulling. Like that was a lot. I'm like, bro, you're kidding me, right? So I was like, all right, explain why this asset makes sense for me to invest 3 ETH, and then I'll believe you. And his explanation was, and Spring, do you want to tell him? Because it was fucking hilarious what you said.
Oh, please tell me. Please tell me.
He's literally like, if you don't buy this, you'll cry later. Like literally don't fade this opportunity because you're just going to be fucking upset later. And like, I was like, okay, well, that's not a good enough reason. But you know what? I trust you, Spring. I've known you for how long? Sure. Little did I know that this fucking guy was planted in the community already, and he was like a community manager for it. And the asset that he shilled me was one of like the assets that provided ins to like Alex and the team that is running Neo Tokyo. And then essentially it was called a whale pass was what I purchased. And I was like, oh,
You're welcome.
what? I have
Yeah.
access to this whale portal of like degens who essentially are ventures and they want to like capitalize on. I was like, oh my God. And my like brain just went from 0 to 100. And now that same asset that I hold is like valued at like 75 to 80 ETH. So,
Excluding the tokens that get generated by it.
Excluding
that's
the
the
tokens.
That's the beauty of it.
and I've been holding that asset since I purchased it, right? So it's not like I flipped it or sold it. So the token value that I've got is like X-fold, right? And I'm not sitting here going like, oh man, I'm going to flip this for 80 ETH. 80 ETH is a lot of money. To a Canadian, that's like almost $500,000, right? Like it's insane at the current value, right? In economic scale. But like I see value in the whale pass. I see value in the community. I see value in the actual like group that I'm a part of. Because whenever I'm in a collaboration or in a GC or in some sort of TG with like some member of Neo Tokyo and they see that I'm a Neo Tokyo, like I'm a citizen, they immediately are like, all right, we trust this guy. We know him, right? He's, you know what I mean? And it's like a shared like what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a shared mind aspect, right? It's like a hive mind. We're all citizens. We're all community. We know each other. I trust you. And that's kind of like what we're building as well over at Core.
And just to bring you back to the original question, would you mind sharing your official job titles, or what's your role within the DAO?
Community lead, no, not community leads, NFT leads, and community lead EU, community lead Canada.
Contributors, OG contributors. That's what we're considering.
Okay,
Don't even.
cool.
Let's,
We'll go with
let's
that.
be gone
OG
with
contributors.
These
Yes.
titles.
We
and
are
formalities,
OG
like we're
contributors.
kings and queens.
That's it. Yes. Yes.
We're contributors. We just help contribute to the foundation and the DAO and what they're trying to achieve.
In any way possible.
And could you tell me a bit more about the DAO? Like, I know that you guys have the core token and you can stake it and I assume vote with it. Can you just tell me how do you run the DAO and the different layers of it? Also, how is it linked to the foundation? Because I remember a few years ago, everyone was excited about the different types of DAOs. But one of the biggest challenge that everyone faced is responsibility. It's okay to have decentralization, but one of the good things in a centralized Web2 company is that if anything goes wrong, we know who to blame. While with DAOs is a bit different, and when you have like different voting mechanisms, it gets messy. So how do you deal with it? Can you just tell me a bit more about the entire organization?
That's based off. So the DAO pushes proposals out. The proposals then get voted in or out based off the amount of tokens of core that you are holding. Of course, we always promote that people have a voice and that they discuss these type of plans where they provide feedback. However, most of the plans, from what we understood as well, are proposed, I believe, through the foundation. Am I correct in that, Nev?
Correct.
So the foundation gives proposals, the DAO ends up responding to it. The DAO can also, of course, have different communities, different projects, different dApps come in. They are also using Core, so they can also vote. The question is more, of course, where are you leaving that core? Because yes, you've mentioned you can stake it and you can use it to vote, but technically you can use your core for a lot of things. You can use it within dApps to actually do what was it again? Leverage trading, perpetuals. You can use it to buy NFTs. You can use it to go into certain pools. You can actually trade it as well on certain meme coins. You can use it within games. So there's all these things that you can technically use core for. So we also always say, like, have a portion that you're using for your votes, and then have a portion that you're using to actually explore the ecosystem as it grows further out. As more parties come, as more parties gain core as well, that means different voices come in on a consistent basis. That's the cool part, actually, in my opinion, as well. So say, for example, you have a dApp that comes in and says, hey, I want to buy 1 million of core, then they can technically do that, and they could vote during the next DAO proposal if they are aware of that.
That's really interesting. And can you tell me a bit more about your jobs and, like, what are you hoping to achieve? I know that you've been in the industry, and I guess you're trying to incentivize projects to build on top of the L2. But can you just tell me a bit more about your day-to-day and, like, your goals that you're aiming to achieve by the end of this year?
Wake up, have some coffee, and then sit in front of my PC and go through all the DMs of all the people asking stuff of wanting to come onto Core or wanting to build on Core or already building on Core. By that time, Nev wakes up, so he starts harassing me and starts saying, yo, where you at? Where you at? Then we hop on more meetings.
Gym, repeat. That's
exactly
my lifestyle
that.
right now.
Literally, it's literally just back-to-back meetings, back-to-back calls, extra coffee. Try to get some gym in. Try to have some social time in the evenings, and then round off as Core is all around the world. So we have groups in the Philippines, in Bangladesh, in India, in Africa, in LATAM, States, Europe. So all of those time zones are trying to communicate with each other, of course, which has proven to not be the easiest, even especially when you're having to execute something under a high amount of pressure. So there are a consistent amount of campaigns as well that are coming out. One of them that Nev already mentioned is blocks. So that will be coming out in the upcoming month or two. Let's be conservative, and that goes to show, like you gotta wake up, have that conviction, just keep it going. And by the end of this year, that means that we're hoping to have multiple communities just rallying, being there, chilling. Also, just knowing that it is a longer term vision, and that they are willing as well to commit to that, because I think that's crypto in general. It's not just Core, it's not just Ethereum, it's not just BTC. If we are truly serious about creating mass crypto adoption, it is truly about sticking around. It is not about the quick flip. It is not about how do I make more money. It is about how do I grow out crypto in general. How do I get as many people to come in? And I think that's a shared responsibility, not just from our side as contributors, but also from every single individual, of course, who wants to interact with crypto. Because one more person also means one step closer to that moment where crypto is able to potentially replace our current financial system, which we are all speaking about.
And what's your biggest and most active community, and where are they based?
We recently did a vote, actually. Funny that you should say that. So we did a vote on our Twitter where we checked which regions are the most active. So our most active regions are actually Asia and Africa. And with Asia, we're talking about also including South Asia. So the Indian area, the Bangladeshi area, combined with then the Chinese and the Philippines, Vietnamese, that type of click.
And what do you contribute this to? Do you believe that people in these countries are more likely to adopt this technology because they actually need it, especially in certain developing economies? Or do you just think that you're a little bit better at marketing yourself there and having more kind of community managers that are based there and are a bit more involved with the community? Like, what would you attribute this to?
Long-term vision, I guess. I think that in general, and then we're really going more on an economical front. I feel I see Asia as coming up, and I'm speaking here from my own perspective, which means as well that I think over the upcoming years, the wealth, the activity, and also the growth from the crypto side is primarily going to come from Asia.
This is it's a long short investment. That's the way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's
The best way to explain this, if you want to talk about tech trading or trading stocks, this is a long short. This is long short equity, and that's the way I explain it. If you want to talk about perpetuals or trading or DEX traders, you're looking at a long short equity investment. That's what you're doing here.
I love that how you compare your community to that. And Nate, what's your if you could do one thing for Core, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I think realistically, I think Spring and I have a similar vision on this. And Spring, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the truth. I won't do anything unless Spring's around, and Spring won't do anything unless I'm around, because we complement each other, similar to, Rich Rhines and Brandon Cito do. Right? They complement each other in ways that are, well, shit. Just look at them. Right? If you've ever seen them in a podcast or if you've ever seen them in an interview, Rich is this intelligent genius that understands.
Giga Chad. Don't keep it simple.
Sorry,
he's a Giga Chad.
Like, and then you have Cito, who's the Giga to his Giga Chad, right? Like, yeah. And that's kind of how it is. And realistically, my objective here, or what I would love to be or do and achieve on Core, is I want to have my own individual. I want to have a DAO within a DAO. That would be my objective. And I think
want to be your own Giga Chad.
I want to be my own Giga Chad in my job. And I want my right-hand man, Spring, to be there, right? And I think realistically, I think realistically we're on that path. And we have, we are still major contributors to the foundation. And I will always be a major contributor to the foundation. But at the same element, I want to be able to build something that we have on our own as well. So that's kind of like, just like anybody in the Web3 space, you want to build your own platform or your own project, right? And, we're currently doing that. We're there. And our project is the community of Core. Nobody knows it, but the Cortoshis are a huge, actually a lot of people know it. The Cortoshis are a huge community. And if you say anything about Core, you are instantly flooded. And this is not autonomous AI agents. These are real people, organic people jumping on your post. The moment you say anything that's correlated, price action, whatever, they're there, ready to launch.
Beautiful. It is beautiful to see a community this active that wants to rally. And I think that a lot of communities and a lot of groups, they would like something like that, where technically you don't even have to say anything. It just happens. It's beautiful to see.
I love how much you grow each other, so it's a bit of a challenge for you guys, but I would like you to say a few good things or a few things that you like about the other person. So I would start with
there's nothing. There is nothing that I
okay,
like
wait, I can do this. I can do this.
I started with how much you grew each other, and Nev is like, let me grow him one more time before I say something nice about him.
I had to get it out before I say the nice things.
Come at me, bro. Now, you want to, Nev? Do you want to start with the compliments?
No, I'm gonna let you go first, because this is one of those Kanye situations where I know I jump in, I'm gonna beat you down.
Don't watch that, bro. Don't watch that. One of the best things about Nev is sarcasm, and if you haven't seen him, he's a big time pretty boy. Love that as well. Guy is very smart. Sometimes he does blab a bit too much, but it's probably his lightness and at the same time his aggressiveness. I'm very similar. We have a saying of choosing violence. It is never a boring moment with this man. Never a boring moment.
I'd have to say that you know how in every story or origin story in the Web3 space you have that who brought you here? Why are you here? Sure, mine started where I got an ASEC miner and wanted to start mining BTC, right? Really, who brought me to the Web3 space after being a miner was Spring. So Spring, his energy, his level of like, yo, this is what you need to get. The degenerative plays him and I are playing consistently, trading. Like, you're not going to find one without the other, right? And that's like a known fact in this space. So Spring's entrepreneurial sense, his determination, his conviction is like 3 of the major reasons why I love this dude. And he knows that. I won't do anything without his opinion on it. I may have already decided I was going to do it, but I'm still going to reach out to him and be like, yo, thoughts, right? And the reason for that is because I actually respect his opinion in this space. So a lot of... Stop it, dickhead, stop it. A lot of that is why I'm here, and still to this day, why I deal with what I deal with, right? To be fair, we know each other pretty much on like a brother to brother. Like, think of Step Brothers. You want to go do activities in the garage? Do you want to go play karate in the garage? That's him and I. We love each other and hate each other at the same time. We'll wake up one morning and, like he said, what's today? And I'm like, I'm choosing violence. He'll do the opposite, right? We'll complement each other.
It's so true, though.
Like, it's
then
just
we
like
already
the
know we need to
standard.
balance each other out.
Yeah, and that's like a big... So I didn't want to... Like, I don't like tooting his horn or making this man more chuffed than he really is. Like, he's got a pretty big ego, super big ego as it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, that's kind of that's the best way to explain it. His conviction, determination, and that entrepreneurial, like, I thought, me having multiple Web2 career, like multiple businesses in Web2, like I run my own businesses, have businesses in Web3. I'm an entrepreneur. This man is the definition of entrepreneur, but doesn't quite know it yet. Doesn't understand that if he just looked at things with that business perspective or that business lens, he would be, like, from an economic standpoint, tenfold, 100x. Like, it would be, like, to invest in Spring is to get 100x. That's the way I look at it. And nobody...
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That is great. So I have a question for you, Ivan. Do you want to invest in me?
I mean,
You need to give me your pitch. You need to give me your elevator pitch.
You just heard the pitch.
Spring doesn't have an elevator pitch. I've got the elevator pitch. You know what the elevator pitch is? bzblocks.xyz. That's the elevator pitch right there.
I do agree with that
is
one.
Spring.
Like the thing with blocks is it is gonna be for a big part community driven, and that's as well when we started and we joined Core, and we got asked to help out with the Cortoshis collection. The biggest thing that we both had in mind was that anything that happens on Core, it should be driven by the community. You see it on a lot of chains, that the chains try to structure it and keep everything very much in line. And not per se that the community gets to have a voice in certain things or that they are getting certain rewards back. It's very top down. We didn't like that. So we said as well, let's see how we can empower our community, give back to our community, get them to be involved. Take, for example, the Cortoshis itself. The Cortoshis itself, they have been getting access to certain DApps, and they've been proposing certain DApps themselves. Now we have gotten to the phase where we're going to be pushing out the NFT marketplace. So the person as well who is building this, he himself is like a fan of what has been created thus far. That's why he's willing to come onto Core and actually build with it as well. So he has been cooking for the past, I think, 3 months, seeing how to bring the platform to life. And we have already quite a few of the projects already in the pipeline who are looking to come. This includes games, RWAs, NFTs itself, art pieces, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the collections, of course, that we will be dropping is going to be related to the NFT marketplace, which is again going to be something which is meant to empower and grow the community.
And can you tell me a bit more about Cortoshis, because they're cool NFTs and you mentioned them a few times. You have a really detailed thread on your X account. But can you tell me a bit more about them? What was the idea behind them? Who is the designer of them?
That man's a
We need to give credit, man. We need to give credit.
That
definitely.
man's a legend. I will, you know what? I'll gladly show you who the man is behind that. His name is Mute. He is probably one of the most iconic. I'm just gonna pull him up on screen right now. Mute. He was and is still one of the greatest artists that we've worked with. And I mean this in a way that like he will be like, "Oh, Nev, that's so nice of you." He was easy to work with, where I had a vision and so did Spring. And we kind of adopted this project the moment we started at Core. Like we were, started off as community management just for our respected regions. But because we're full-blown Web3 natives and understand NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and how things work, they were looking to essentially gate the community using these NFTs with Web3 degenerate activities, on-chain activities. And this project, or this Coretoshis project, was in development for already 2 years, privy to us joining. It does not take 2 years to launch a project, specifically an art project, right? So we came in, kind of looked at the project, did some things, some necks were cut, made some changes, and we had pretty much 3 months, Spring? Was that kind of on point with the timeline that we worked with? I think it was about 3 months to renew this, start it from scratch, from the bottom. So we found an artist that we respectively wanted to work with, which was Mute, and the Cortoshis project was born. So, community of Core, if you go and you look up, obviously, we have a large community here, right? That's kind of a bunch of ambassadors who did want to put themselves on stage. These are artists that we work with. The project itself, it's on OKX, right? It's on OKX. I'm just trying, it does not want to share that screen. I'm not sure why. Just give me a second. I thought I shared the whole window, but it was just the one tab. So
while Nate is looking for it, Springroll, oh, he found it.
What's good?
Can you tell me a bit more about the idea behind the NFTs? Because I think they're a really good collection. But some people...
You gonna buy one? Join the community?
Bull Run was last cycle and now they're dead, or no one is talking about NFTs anymore, or the big collections are 90 to 95% down. What was the rationale behind having your own NFT collection?
Oh man, okay. NFT Bull Run. I think the Bull Run is similarly with AI. You get to see a lot of vaporware. Most people who launched NFTs did not understand how to use it or how to actually implement it. They just thought, put JPEG on chain, make people buy, and then exit liquidity. Peace, I'm out.
You're just talking about every artist.
You're shaking your head, but you know it's true. It's fucked. It's fucked. Then you have the artist. The artist gets like 5% of commission of the fucking art, and then the rest who marketed it out take the remaining 95% and then say peace. Then they tried to sell the IP to some random ass company, thinking, "Bro, my final moment of extraction has come." And then it's on to my next venture. Let me make an AI agent. Like the Bull Run is probably where you get new tech, new creations, but no one gets it yet. And then over time, people start figuring out actually how to use the tech. NFTs works in a very similar way. So most of the individuals who use NFTs currently are people who, how do I say this bluntly, either trade meme coins or NFTs. That's it. You ask them anything else, they will act, excuse my French, retardio. Because of that, explaining DeFi to them is like pulling teeth on steroids. Like, it is impossible. So what we decided to do is use the NFTs like a vehicle, get the dApps to integrate the NFTs as like an access pass, and then the dApps get people to commit funds to it. Because even though these people might not understand dApps, they do have money, and a lot of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying JPEGs for like thousands and thousands of dollars thinking it's gonna go somewhere. So taking all that into account, if you look at it from a longer term, NFTs are the initial gateway where you are able to talk with people, give them an identity, especially if they're on Doxed, where they feel comfortable and they can resonate with the culture, resonate with the chain, resonate with the community. If you look at Core, that's Cortoshis. A similar thing can be seen on other chains, like, for example, Avalanche, who had Dokyo, for example. These flagship models are meant to give back culture to a chain where it's technically just numbers. You bring culture, you bring arts, you bring people who might not actually know and understand numbers, but are willing to learn. And that's part of that onboarding cycle that people forget. Nowadays, nowadays NFTs are coming back, but then they're like, oh yeah, let's be creative and put it in a soulbound token. Yeah, putting in a soulbound token, really cool, but kind of useless. Because how the hell are you going to promote it once it's in the wallet? It technically ties the wallet in full. If you look at it from the perspective of going into the NFT narrative from the art sector, you're going to need some form of support as well from the DeFi side to really bring that NFT to life. Yeah, see, this is one of those things. For example, Nev is sharing Core Man action figure. It's these type of things that start popping up because people start playing around. They start playing with Legos, or they start playing with the NFTs. They're like, oh yeah, we have this, but we can also rep our NFTs with that, or we can make an edit of it. Some people use it in GIFs. So we have taken some of the Cortoshis, and we've on purpose put them in GIFs so that people can use it and rep it in their conversations. So you get all these different vehicles to communicate with your community, which you previously couldn't. Onboarding is easier, relationships get made easier, and that's the thing that is very important, I find, to remember always. Crypto is all about relationships.
I love this. And my final question is about your relationship, guys, like your friendship, I would say. Did you manage to build this really strong friendship when you were living at the same place, or are you living at like different places in the world, but you still managed to, I assume, find one of your best friends through the crypto industry?
We have never met. Never met.
Yup.
Never.
Crazy.
Ever.
Only on camera have we ever seen ourselves.
And at that point, when we did see each other, we insulted each other.
Immediately.
Wow. So have you met each other's families or like friends or anyone?
Nope.
I've met other contributors to Core, but I have not met literally, as you said it, my best friend on Core, correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crypto for you. And
Yep.
as Springroll said, like it's all about the relationships and the connections that you build within the industry.
Yes. It makes all the change for if someone is going to stay or not. When we join crypto initially, it's always because we want to have the financial gains, if we're putting it bluntly. Yeah, like, we're not joining shit if there's no money in it. Cool. Let's get that out of the
Does
way.
anything for money.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I can make
gonna
more
call me out
money
like
doing that. Bro, it's true though. We're here for the money. And like anyone who says, "Oh, we're here for the building," like, bro, stop lying to yourself.
What are you talking about? I'm here for the tech and the culture. What are you talking about?
But if we are to be honest about it, why we are sticking around, we stick around for the relationships. And we get our business opportunities because of the relationships, and we make money because of the relationships. So in the end, what makes crypto tick? It's the relationships.
I completely agree with you guys, and I want to leave it on this lovely note that, yeah, it's all about the relationships in crypto. Thank you so much for joining me today. Such a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us here.